All right, and we're back with Crossroads Carnival. We have our lovely players here going for our game again. We have Kristen as Liliana, Amber as Edie, Kate as Thetis, Diana as Marquetta, and Paul as Philia. Phil, Philia, what do you do next for your show?
As I would announce to the crowd, is like, "Oh, we have some special guests. Yes, please, Miss Doris, take a seat. Johnny, would you please escort the honorable father up to the stage so we can have a meal together?"
And so Johnny looks at you and is just like, and he sees the father with the collar, and he points
Yes,
like
Johnny.
those two.
That's the only one.
They're not that smart, as you know. So he's Johnny nods and goes off and offers a hand to Doris and gives a look to Father to like just follow. And Doris takes it and smiles, and she's blushing because she's like about to be on stage, and she moves up onto the stage. Did you have her want her to sit on the stage with you, or where did you want her?
I wanted her to sit in the crowd.
Sit in the crowd, like front row, though.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, yeah. So Johnny moves her, leads her to the front row. Um, Father Merkel's right behind him, and basically Johnny offers a hand to like step up onto the stage because stages are cumbersome to get on, especially if you're coming straight from the ground floor and not using the stairs. Using the stairs. There we go. I can say words. And yeah, he takes a seat right at the table with you.
Great. Um,
He looks very concerned and nervous sitting there with you. Just let you know what the energy feels like coming from him.
right. So I'll turn back to the Johnny and he's like, "Please, could you bring out our hors d'oeuvres?" And in the process, I think Johnny would bring out a cage filled with some rats. I just smiled to the father. I was like, "So, father, would you care to partake in our meal?"
I think the father is just like, oh, no, thank you. I've already eaten for today.
"Then please have some tea."
He just looks at the cup and just holds it because he's very like, I know what's in there.
I think at this point, I want to use one of my abilities. I want to
Yes,
use
please.
indulge your inner monster.
Oh, nice. I was gonna, I thought you were gonna do headless beast, but
Oh,
let's
I
do that
will.
as well.
That's immediately after.
Oh, so it's one or the other. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. So
So
which one are you doing? Indulging your.
inner monster. So instead of holding one, I'm going to immediately mark darkness to become omniscient and force him to reveal his hidden truth.
Okay.
So it's like, in whispered tones, I'll lean across the table and I'll be like, "So what were your plans for Miss Doris, father?"
I think he's gonna lean over back and like look at Doris and then look back at you and then down to the cup of tea. And he's like, well, I was gonna show her a nice night here and then let her go off with the lady in red.
Interesting. I think at that point, I'm going to use my head this beast move.
All right, so you're gonna chomp on a rat.
Oh, I'm going to take a rat out, and in front of him, I'm going to twist its neck and pull it from the body. Let's see, on a 7 to 9, 0 plus breath. Well, that's already an 8. So I think I have plus 2 breath. That makes it a 10. Okay, so I don't mark any darkness, and I want them to tell me something immediately useful about. So I'm like, "And who is this lady in red?"
Yeah, fixated on your words. He just starts saying, her name is Rella, and she's a witch that's from the hills and the forest up in the Appalachians here. Um, she's the one that's been helping us starting to thrive during all this, you know, dust bowl that we've been going through. Um, I don't ask her how she helps. I just provide what she needs.
So you were going to provide Doris then?
I think the silence is your answer, as he just stares at the rat and looks down at the cup.
Okay, knowing this, I'd be just like, Johnny, time for the main course. As Johnny brings out a wooden crate that smells horrible before even opening it. And as he opens it, the stench of decayed flesh, because this is just a box full of roadkill that they've picked up along the way, just waiting for the show. And just staring at the father, Philia would, I don't know, pick out a possum, let's say, you know, and you can see its skin just kind of melting off its face. It's been so long. It, some of the exposed parts of the meat, you could see this white film on it, and Philia just takes a knife, just scrapes off some of that white film and puts it on a piece of bread and starts eating it in front of the father, staring him in the eyes the whole time.
So yeah, as you eat this roadkill possum on toast, I'm sorry, on bread, the father sort of just stares. He sees you looking in his eyes, and he can't meet them. It's too much, and he looks down and he looks over at Doris too. If you also look at Doris, is just delighted and disgusted and like just amused. And then there's more light that comes in as the flap opens up a bit, and it's there's a female in a dress, because it's the backlight, you can't really see features. And then the lights adjust, and you do see a woman with fiery red hair just sort of standing there. Father looks up and looks at her, looks at him, looks at the door, then looks at you, Philia, and it's like, um, "Thank you for inviting me to dinner. I must go." And he starts to stand up.
No, please stay. Johnny, I can finish up the show. If you could take Miss Doris to my tent and watch over her for the night, I would appreciate that very much.
The Johnny looks at you, confused, and but nods and looks at Doris. And Doris is also confused because she's like, "I no, I'm okay. Actually, I'm gonna go check out the other shows, Father. If you want to stay here, um, because she's unaware of the whole situation. You know, she's like, I'll be back though. I'll come back later. Phil, yeah, all right."
All right, as you please.
She walks past the redheaded woman, and the redheaded woman looks at her, um, and then looks back at the father, and the father's just like, slowly sits back down because he doesn't want to be rude. Not in this show. I think the scene's gonna end with him looking into the mug of blood, and just it's gonna show his reflection for a bit, and then it's gonna cut to a new scene. I think we're gonna go to Edie.
Again, Edie is trying very hard to. I think she does this show because she's told to do this show, and is on display. And again, has always been struggling with the fact that she is monstrous to a certain degree. And so she just tries to just be on display. But I think as she's doing this, like, people start to heckle her, you know, like, why don't you bark, or like, you know, do something, you're just sitting here, you're like just that kind of stuff, right? And she's getting like more and more frustrated, so the scene is her holding herself like really tight and like trying like not to like cry, but she's also getting very angry, like she's shaking at this point. And I think at some point it just crosses a line, right? Like people are starting to leave, um and she's having flashbacks of her day so far, like Philphilia ditching them, not being as useful. Everything that she is seeing, like if we do like a cut like back in like a TV show, it's through the her filter, where it might have been an okay interaction, but she's seeing it as like you're worthless and hearing things like that. And eventually, I think I would like her monster within to come out. Like, this is when it's just
Yes.
like it's just too much, you know. The anxiety of it all is too much. And also worrying about herself, like my safety, other people's safety, in the tent, or in the circus or carnival, in the carnival. um and so she starts to lose control. And if it's okay with you, like, I think the scene ends where it's like you can see that her eyes start to pupils start to dilate, and her tears, and then more fur starts growing on her face, and then she lets out a blood curdling howl.
Let's go to Liliana. You had someone leaving and crying earlier, and it's been pretty quiet for the time being as you go in. And then there's someone who, knocks on the tent. I guess knocking on the tent's kind of hard. I guess just sort of like pushes it open and like peeks in to make sure that nobody's in here. And it is a younger woman. Just for the record, for people who are following at home, it's Doris, but you don't know Doris. And she's peeking in. She's like, "Oh, I see you don't have somebody. Can I possibly come in and get reading?"
Oh, yes, child. Please come in, have a seat.
Comes in and takes a seat and is just very excited. She's like, "We haven't had carnival in years here, so this is my first time as an adult to like actually join in. So I'm very excited to see what everything's like."
Oh, good. Have you visited any of the other tents yet, or is this your first stop?
No, I was seeing Philphilia earlier. I don't think I beat the geek, but I was very amused by the whole show. Fascinated, really.
Very few actually beat the geek, if any. Well, what kind of reading would you like? Cards, bones, palm.
Well, I heard that people can read, and she like holds up her hands, read your hands, and that's fascinating because it just looks like just lines to me. If you could, and she holds up both because she doesn't know which one you need.
A palm reading. These are my favorite. I will need to touch and inspect your hand. Is that okay?
That's fine.
So I think Liliana takes both of the young lady's hands on top of her hands, right? So that, and she's just kind of looking at both and looking at the lines. And can I roll touch?
Yeah.
9.
When you try to feel the truth inside of someone, touch them and roll plus breath. On
Mhm.
7 and 9, ask 1.
Yep. I have the questions here. What are you afraid I'll see?
As Liliana's eyes go all white and just staring into the palms, I think her mind really is going to her mother, the one who's, you know, coughing and bedridden. And so I think you see visions of her tending to her mother, who's extremely sick, coughing up blood and just the blackness into like a handkerchief. Then the scene flashes to earlier, like a memory from earlier today, whenever she was talking to the father about asking him to help, and he said he would, and then it flashes right before, where they're at the church and they're talking, and there's a lady in red that's sort of like standing off in the corner that Doris didn't really notice, but like you and Nimri can easily see, and it's the lady in red from earlier that you saw go into the cornfields. And he's like during this memory, and she's like standing in the corner, but her vision's on him, and she's like, "We'll go to the carnival since you were invited. We will go around for a bit, see the sights, and then afterwards, I want you to meet somebody who can help me pray for you and your family and make your mother feel better." I think there's hypothetical visions that happen where, you know, all that praying that she did not work, and she's crying beside her mother's grave that they're having to build, you know, to bury her and all that. So visions of sadness and possible hopefulness, and then just that hopefulness being like shattered as reality sets in. So I think that's what she's afraid to see, is that like everything that she's hoping to do just doesn't happen.
Liliana is aware that when her eyes are all white, that there are certain customers that can see that and it would add to the show. And there are certain customers that it would be too much for them. And Liliana feels that this young lady is just too innocent. And so Liliana makes an effort to make her eyes come back to typical, so that she looks like she did when the girl first walked in, and is less intimidating as she tells her what she saw. That's the kindest thing Liliana will do, though. So I think that she is very blunt and cold in repeating pretty much what she said. And she doesn't offer any hope. She just kind of repeats what she saw. She is very curious about the woman with the red hair. So the question she's going to ask is, do you know the lady with the red hair? Have you met her yet?
I think Doris is going to look at you with a bit of confusion and be like, no. I mean, I met some women with red hair, but I think I passed someone with red hair earlier. That's about it.
Be wary of the lady with the red hair that you will be meeting, and be wary of prayer. You need medicine for your mother.
And I think she just is quiet and just is nodding, and she's like, well, I thank you for your time. And she puts down the monies.
Oh, one more thing, dear.
Yeah.
I do see good things happening for you if you go back and visit Philphilia.
I think she smiles and she's like, all right, I'll head back there soon. She gives a small wave and she leaves the tent. Marquetta. Yeah, I think we're gonna come in like right as you're probably towards the end of your this round of the show. Yeah.
Okay.
Because you probably do like certain times where you do like
Sure.
certain acts and stuff, and people filter in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as you're doing one of the acts, which one went out into the field again? Was it Wilhelm? Or was it?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I think Wilhelm is kind of distracted right now. You can see his nose flaring, like he's smelling something familiar.
Mm-hmm.
And you see him starting to turn a bit, but you kind of like snap or whip or do whatever you do.
Mm-hmm.
And he just comes back, but every once in a while he'll turn to look.
I'm getting to the last little trick of our performance, which is, I'm going to say, I have them jump through a flaming hoop.
Mm-hmm.
And so we do that, and of course it goes off well, but Wilhelm is slow because he's distracted, and I noticed this, and I need to keep an eye out for trouble.
Okay, do it.
Plus guile, which is negative, so one. I got an 8.
An 8. Ask one.
I need to ask one. Who here is stained by darkness?
Are you looking down into the crowd while you're doing this, or?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So as you're looking down into the crowd, you just see that woman in red. She's towards the entrance, standing there, and you just see like vapors inking off of her, like black shadows sort of floating around her as the darkness is there.
Okay, so I see the evil vapors.
You see the evil vapors.
Vapors.
As you're keeping an eye out. It's just, I mean, to to the one of the Rube's eyes, it wouldn't be much of anything, but you in
I
touch with
see
your
it.
darkness. Darkness sees darkness, yeah.
Darkness is darkness. All right, so I'm going to take my bow. Thank everybody. Thank you all for coming. We'll be back in an hour. And I excuse the cats. I send the cats back to their backstage area, and I'm gonna go towards the woman in red, the
Yeah,
red
and
woman.
I think she lingers a bit because she knows and she's intrigued, and I think she's standing there, kind of with her arms not tightly crossed, but like loosely crossed, and sort of gives you a look. And you can see now that we have more details, and you're able to see her more clearly.
Mhm.
Um, she's got long red hair, probably like in her mid-30s, deep brown eyes, fair skin, and wearing. Did I say she was wearing a red dress? I'm gonna say she's wearing a red dress because I don't remember. Wearing just simple red dress.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I I don't believe I've seen you about before. Is this your first time?
I think she sort of just gives like a half smile, like, well, it's your first time being in this area, so of course.
Marquetta gives her a sly smile, and I think I want to strike a deal. I'm going to offer to introduce her to the cats. I got a 5.
I think she looks at you and she's like, I mean, we all have our secrets, don't we? And I like your cats, but I like them from a distance.
I think that's how I like you too.
And she just sort of lets out a little chuckle and just her smile brightens. She's like, I understand. I'll see you around. And she opens up the tent and leaves.
Damn.
Are you trying to do something?
Yes, I'm trying to see if there. I'm gonna end up sending another lion after her. Can I just
Yes.
knowingly send a lion just to follow her?
Yeah. You're
Okay.
just gonna have a lion just wandering the carnival.
Yep.
Just...
I'm gonna send a tracking lion.
Which one are you sending?
I'm gonna send Wilhelm since he's already distracted by her.
Okay. So this big old male lion, full mane and everything, just starts. Oh god, I'm just thinking of the big old paws hitting the dirt, and then like children are like kitty, and the parents are like no, as the cat's just sort of like
Yep.
on a mission, just sort of lagging behind her. I think that's where we're gonna end that one. So yeah, as we cut away from the screams of delights from the children and screams of concern and fear from the adults, we're gonna follow those screams into the mermaid tent. Are you still just sitting there, just sort of like basking and just people watching you, or how's it going now?
Yeah, I'm just kind of flapping around my tail and laying out, titties out, don't care.
That's fair. And I think there is like a teenage boy in the front row that's sort of just like googly eyed at you. And I think it opens up with the flap opening up, and there's an older woman there, and she's like scanning the tent, and she sees this boy there, and she's coming, and she grabs him by the wrist. She's like, Charles, I can't believe I found you in here. Come with me, boy. And she like grabs him by the wrist. These dang carnival people just out and about, and she looks and she's like, with a mermaid? Ugh, probably isn't. I didn't realize just a woman in a tail. Come on, boy.
I flick some water at her.
I think she just like gasps and like gives you like a sort of like face as she's tugging, and the Charles looks back and he just sort of like looks at you longingly, and he's like, I love you. And he gets pulled out. And I think as he gets pulled out, Doris pops in, the younger woman who we have viewers known to love. Thetis has not met yet, but now has. As she comes in, and she's just sort of in awe, like, your nudity doesn't bother her one bit, but just seeing the tail and like just you just in the water. Are you like floating on top like with your perched out, or are you just like floating on your back like an otter? Or
Yeah, I'm kind of on my back like an otter.
I love it. And I think she comes up and she just stands near the front row and she's just like in awe of your scales and your hair and tail and like all that. And I think she eventually just takes a seat like right in the front row and just sort of looks and watch and just it's fascinating.
I think I take notice of her mostly because of her age. I know that's the age range of people that we've been paying attention to today, particularly. So I kind of roll over, so I'm like perched on the edge of the tank. And I kind of gesture for her to come over to me.
I think she's just delighted and she stands up and starts making her way over.
You child, what brings you here tonight?
Oh, well, I'm here with a friend of mine and just, seeing the sights because we don't really get carnivals around that much. So it's very new to me, especially as an adult. And like, as a kid, you're just like, oh, look, here's the rides. Oh, look, here's the juggler or whatever. But like now I'm old enough, I can go into the tents and I'm just excited to see what's behind all the doors or the flaps. They're not really doors, are they? And she sort of chuckles to herself. She's like, so yeah, I'm just here and seeing your, I gotta say, you're quite beautiful. Like with your tail and your hair. It's so fascinating.
Oh, I am. Thank you. Yes. Who is your friend? Where is your friend?
Oh, that'd be Father Merkel, and he's still, I think, at Phil Philia's tent. It's been a bit. I should probably go check in on him.
A man. I want to strike a deal.
Okay.
I have a shiny locket that I would trade for a man to drown.
Are you gonna tell her that you're gonna drown him, or are you just?
Oh no.
Okay.
Actually, I might, but no. I mean, once he gets here, I'll tell her. But no.
Just for a man friend. You just want a man friend.
I just want a friend. I just want a friend.
All right. Go ahead and give me that roll.
But I also have strike a deal. But I also have beauty from below. So in revealing my aquatic features, I can roll plus grace instead of guile to strike a deal. In striking this deal, I think I kind of stretch out my neck and she can see my gills running down my neck.
Ooh.
They might distract her a little bit more. Hopefully, maybe. Yay, I have a 9.
Yeah, I think it'd be fascinating as well. I should definitely go get him.
I would love to meet him.
Yeah. So let me go grab him real quick, and I'll
well,
be right back.
Wait here, if fair's fair, let me give you this beautiful locket.
Oh, I thought you were going to give it on the exchange, and so I wasn't really expecting it now.
Well, I trust you. You're a good girl.
Oh, thank you.
So I give her the locket.
Yeah, she holds her hand out, and you put it in her hand. She's like, "Oh wow, this is beautiful." And
Thank
she gives you like
you.
a little wave and like sort of pops out of the tent.
I am very pleased with myself.
You hear the small screams of children coming out from the outside the tent and the screams of adults, but you're not really sure. It's kind of like normal screams that usually happen.
Sounds normal. I imagine this probably just strikes me that Marquetta has sent one of the lions out.
Oh yeah, you probably see the lion just as it walks by as she's opened up the door. She's like, oh my. And you hear that from her as the flap closes. Phil, how's it been going while the father's been sitting there with you?
Oh, I've been continuing with the show. I'm assuming at this point either most of the people have left and I need to try and force the rest of the stragglers out.
I'm going to say there's one person left.
Well, they get to be the one to see the final act in which, let's see. I think this time I take out one of the other roadkills. This time it's it's a raccoon. Mm-hmm. And I hold it up, and from under the table I grab a knife, and I just stab it into the belly and pull down, and then I empty the contents of its stomach into a bowl, Then I rip out the intestines of the raccoon. I toss them to him. He sets them on a small side table he has and starts. You just see him with a knife working on it.
He knows this. He knows this way too well. And at this point, he actually doesn't make faces anymore. He's kind of used to it. Except his nose curls every once in a while from the stench, but that's about it.
So I take a spoon and I just gracefully start, eating the bile from the stomach. And I look over at Johnny, and he brings over a plate of the intestines that have now been cut up into what looks like a plate of spaghetti and pasta. And just deciding to go be very unladylike and uncouth, I just start slurping it down. Almost Lady in the Tramp style, only there's no lady.
I think that sends the last person out. That's kind of gross, yo. And yeah, they leave. The father just is sort of just sitting there, eyes shut, just like trying to meditate, trying to beat the smells of decay and rot of these animals, especially the one he just gutted open, as the fresh decay hits his nostrils. And he's like, I think you beat the crowd.
As usually happens, Father. So, do you have plans for tonight? Aside from escorting the fair lady Doris.
We all have plans, don't we?
I would recommend you go check out some of our attractions. In particular interest to you might be my friend Marquetta. Tell her I sent you.
I think I will. And he's like, and thank you for the front row special guest seat. As he puts down, because he didn't hold him that teacup of blood the whole time, just because he's just like, I don't know what else to do with my hands.
Yes.
And he puts it down gently, and he's like, thank you. And
as he's getting up, I get up to greet him out and accidentally knock over the bowl towards him.
I think he's now covered in chicken blood. Is that right?
No, this one was raccoon bile.
Oh.
Oh, my apologies, Father.
It's understandable. Your hands are a bit slippery. And he motions to the gore that's on the table. And he's like, thank you. And he just sort of takes a handkerchief and just starts like wiping himself off as he's opens up the door, and you actually see Doris walking up now. And so they're talking right at the doorway, so you can hear them. She's like, oh, Father, I didn't realize y'all were already done. I was just gonna grab you because I met a mermaid. And he's like, a mermaid, really? And she's like, yeah, you gotta go meet her. She's so pretty. And he's like, are you gonna come with me? And she's like, no, I'm gonna stay here for a bit, if that's okay. All right, we'll do need to meet in an hour or so. So be around. And so he leaves on a destination. But Doris walks back in. She's like, well, how'd the show go?
Oh, you just missed the grand finale.
Did anybody beat you?
Oh, no, they rarely do.
I understand. It seems like it's a tough job to do. I'm surprised that you're able to stomach it.
I barely notice it, honestly. It's almost like eating it just helps fill the void, if you know what I'm saying.
I don't, but okay.
You're a precious one, aren't you?
I mean, that's what my mama always tells me.
So how is your mama, by the way?
Oh, I went to check on her before I went off to the church, and she's breathing still. It's difficult for her, but hopefully she starts like putting her hands up to class, and then she's really remembering what Liliana says, and she's just sort of like drops her hand. She's like, hopefully we can get the right medicine for her.
Yes, medicine would be a warm welcome to that situation. If you're not adverse to alternative medicines, I might be able to help your mother.
Oh, really? Like what kind of alternative medicines?
Oh, you'd have to see it to understand. But I'd be able to figure something out, I'm sure.
Well, definitely interested. Also, do you need help cleaning any of this up?
Oh no, the Johnnies will do that.
And the Johnny who's there just has a bucket and the mop and just starts like mopping things up and just throwing the raccoons into a bin and like and other pieces and stuff and wiping things down. She's like, "Oh well, are you done for the night? Or you got more shows? Or
I mean, it all depends on who else is interested. Once word tends to get out, people start to come in less.
I mean, seems like they're scared."
I mean, I'm hoping they just can't eat for a few more days. It's always nice knowing I've put on a good performance.
That does sound fascinating.
That's one way to put it.
Well then, are you gonna wait here or what are you doing?
Well, I'm free for the night. Would you like me to escort you somewhere?
Yeah, sure. Don't know where to go. I've heard there's a cat lady. Is that right?
Ah, yes, Marquetta. Great friend. Would you care to go visit?
Sure.
All right, well, let's go then.
All right, and we'll cut the scene there. Edie,
Oh, hello.
what you doing?
The last person has left the tent, kind of booing as I like leave, right? And she's howled now. And she's trying to keep it together, but she's failing miserably. She's very emotional right now. And I think, or what she does is she starts to stumble about inside her own tent, trying to like keep the monster that's trying to come out of her in. And everything is making her upset as she looks at stuff. So scenes of like just people, empty seats, and then like her little stage. And then she gets embarrassed about that. She goes outside of her tent. She looks at her tent. It makes her even more upset. And she like actually grabs her own tent and pulls it down. Like she's up just, and like not crying, just like these kind of like guttural noises, like like throwing a tantrum almost. And yeah, I think she's just outside of her tent right now, kind of like struggling to like keep it together.
And I think you hear a voice behind you, and it's like, "Well, what a ferocious person you are. Is everything all right?"
I'm not ferocious.
Oh, I'm
Perfectly
sorry.
normal.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to assume then. You are quite fascinating, but I hope everything's okay with you.
I'm fine. What do you want?
I think there's have you looked at her yet, or are you just still sort of
Yeah,
like
I'll look at her at this point. Yeah.
yeah, I think she's just gonna have like a soft smirk on her face. She's like, "What if I can tell you that I can help you with what's going on? I can make you feel how you want to feel."
This makes Edie stop for a second.
Mm-hmm.
And so now she's kind of looking at this woman even closer, trying to know her intent. So I think that is, I guess, can I keep an eye out for trouble?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it's minus Guile, right? So I got a 7.
7 still passes. You get to ask
Yeah.
one.
I guess what dark truth is hidden here. I'm trying to know her intentions.
All right. And when you look into like these intentions, how do you feel these things? Like how does it come to you?
I think probably in scent and like how the person is moving. I
Okay.
think Edie will try and like it, it's just like a gut feeling for her, and it comes from like the people that she trusts. They have a certain smell about them. So like mother or whatever we call the head,
Gloria, yeah.
Gloria, yeah. She's somebody that like Edie trusts implicitly. So
Mm-hmm. As you're like considering this and like breathing in the air around her, it smells like fresh blood. It smells so that metallic sort of like hints of your nose. It smells like earth as you're looking at her, and like you almost see like a predatory look to her eyes. Out of the corner of your eyes, you actually see Wilhelm sort of like just behind, stalking.
okay, Edie will take that all in and just for a minute is like, wait, no, wait, there's somebody trying to steal young girls like me. She remembers through the fog of her anger and upsetness right now. And so yeah, she'll respond back to the question of, I can make this go away. And it's like, I don't think you could help me.
She's like, oh no, child. You don't know who I am or what I can do. I can definitely help you.
Well, demonstrate for me right here what you can do to help this.
Well, what I have are tools that I don't have on me currently to help you, but if you ever consider it, please let me know. And I think she actually turns and looks and she finally sees the cat behind her and she's like, I see, we have company.
How am I supposed to contact you?
My name is Israela. What can call me to you anytime is pricking your finger to draw blood and just have the intent of seeing me and I'll appear. She's trying to be warm, but it's very like predatory smile where it's like too many teeth in a sense.
Oh, should I let her go? I'm gonna let her go because I think Edie's like, all right, if I need your help, I'll call you. And then like starts to walk off, and I think she's gonna go try and find Liliana actually to help with this current issue. So
Yeah.
she'll
I think she disappears into the crowd and then the cat also Thetis.
Yep.
I think at this point the tent is pretty empty and you're just by yourself and all of a sudden the flap comes open and there's a tall man there wearing the collar. Oh, you must be the mermaid that Doris was talking about.
And you must be the friend that Doris was talking about. My new friend.
He's a little off guard, but he smiles. He's like, yes, hello. And he starts making his way towards the tank.
And she kind of like plays with her hair and like just makes big doe eyes like, yes, I get that a lot. Like she's playing up pretty and dumb as much as she can.
I didn't even know they existed. I thought it was just stories and myth.
Well, surely you know that the stories of your Bible some people think are just myths.
And he thinks about it and he's like, no, yeah, I suppose you're right. I guess there's some truth behind all the myths and history. It's pretty quiet in here tonight.
It is. I've been so lonely tonight. And she reaches out and says, with her hand, her palm up, she says, I've just been missing all my friends. Will you be my friend, Father?
He takes your hand. For being such a young man, they're actually kind of soft. Just because he doesn't do the hard labor like a lot of the people do here in the town. It's just he's a man of the cloth, and his hands reflect that. So yeah, he takes your hand. He's like, of course, I'm friends with all of the children of the Lord.
It's been so long since I've had anybody to say a prayer with. Would you lead me in a prayer?
I would be honored to. And he shuts his eyes as he's holding your hand, and he starts doing a prayer and just goes,
I'm going to lash out with unsettling violence.
Yes! Please do.
7.
You choose 2. But on a exchange harm is established, and then you choose 2.
I attract unwanted attention.
Okay.
And I'll mark darkness.
So yeah, as he's like, oh Father, where art in heaven? And I think as he's saying heaven, like halfway through that, how do you look? Do you just still doughy-eyed and stuff, or do you turn into more of a predator? Sort of?
No, I turn more predatory. I think my teeth look a whole lot sharper, and my hands look a lot sharper as well. They look more like almost like an anglerfish kind of. Yes. Yeah, I just look a lot more like a deep sea animal.
I love it. So yeah, you just grab him by the back of the throat. I think it attracts someone's attention just because he lets out a yelp right before he goes in, and he's splashing a bit, like trying to pull away, trying to get away. So I think there's a shot first where it's just a surprise look from underneath the water where you can see him and like he's pulling away, and then we pull back and we see that he's just trying to push away, pull. You see his feet digging into the dirt as he's trying to, which is now becoming mud as the water's splashing around, and he's just trying to fight it. And then suddenly he just goes limp.
And at that point, I let go, and I think just the weight of the body outside of the tank lets him
fall back
out.
Yeah, and I think it's just first it's slow, and then it just tumbles, and maybe hits like one of the front row chairs,
Mhm.
and sort of like hits that and bounces off. And I think the camera stays on his face, which is still eyes open, covered in water, sort of pale from the drowning experience. And that's where the camera lingers for a hot second. And I think that's where we'll call it.